Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to Wolfinia. This is episode, I think, 296 of my Minecraft survival series. And I know it's been a bit. It's been a while. You know, work here in Wolfinia has been a bit on and off as of late, but let me assure you that I have a lot of plans for this place. We are not done by any means. But I am going to kind of start easing back into it. We're not gonna, jump to any new big builds or anything today. What I want to do is I want to go back over here to the House of Leaves, where apparently nobody has been maintaining this place because this growth right here is ridiculous. I swear, sometimes it just feels like people expect me to do everything when it comes to maintaining this city. That's fine. Actually, you know what? I guess that is fine. That's what Mr. Wolfins hired me for after all, right? That's why he put that trust in me. Nobody else is going to do it. Yeah, I think that should work. Anyway, let's go ahead and start focusing on today's actual business. I think one of the things I want to do is I want to get the moss farm here upgraded a little bit so it's running constantly so we get like some bone meal production, stuff like that. That's not my main concern right now. Another thing we're going to need to focus on in the coming episodes is getting some more mud going because we're going to need a lot of that. But again, not a concern right now. Right now, my concern is this bare area right here. I think we're going to do something with this today. Now, as far as what we're going to do, I mean, we're dealing with the House of Leaves, so it's got to be some type of flora. I'm thinking we're going to build a bamboo farm. Now, this isn't going to be any kind of massive, huge producing bamboo farm or anything like that. We don't have that kind of space in this area. But, I mean, a nice medium farm that's automatic, running whenever I'm around, that's going to be more than enough to suit our needs, right? And I think overall this should be pretty easy to do. A pretty easy way to ease myself back into Wolfinia. The redstone, I think, we're just going to stick with the, slime block piston harvesting. Same way we did our sugarcane farm way back in the day. All right, I think we got pretty much what we're going to need, but at this point, I am having second thoughts. Not about the bamboo farm. We're still going to do that, but I'm having second thoughts about whether or not we should start our episode with that. Because if we are going to be down here at the House of Leaves, it might actually make sense to do the work to the moss farm here first. Get this up and running permanently, get the bone meal production system in and all that stuff, right? So maybe we'll lead with this. Now, we're obviously going to need to feed our dispensers. And I think we're obviously going to have to rework some of the redstone here, but overall the redstone's fairly simple. But we're going to have to feed our dispensers with bone meal. So I think we can run that through the backing here, and that should be fine. Though, since we do have our water dropper here, it might be smarter to actually route this a different way. So for this outside one, what we could do is we could route the bone meal feed system, which is basically just going to be a bunch of hoppers, just further along the outside, right? And then for this one, this could feed in on either side of this, and we should be fine there, right? I don't think there's anything else interfering. Obviously, as I mentioned, the redstone will have to be redone. This one could also just go on the outside. Easy, easy. I know what you're probably thinking. You've been gone for a while. Haven't you had like a ton of time to plan? Ha! Now, rather than embarrass myself by trying to continue to talk you guys through this process, I'm thinking what we're probably going to do at this point is just go ahead and call the drone on over here, put on a little bit of music, and get to work. Welcome back, everybody. At this point, we do have this thing being fed with the bone meal that is being produced of its own stuff that it harvests, the moss. The moss gets made into bone meal, feeds the system. Theoretically, we should be making more bone meal than we're using to get more moss. Hopefully. So we've rerouted the storage. Basically, before anything goes into storage, it gets run through these hoppers here, which feeds it into a composter and makes more bone meal. Now that bone meal is fed down through a chain of hoppers, not into this dropper, but into this far dropper on the opposite side of this hopper, which bone meal is a moss block and gets us more moss and therefore more bone meal. Now, with the anticipation of running this permanently, I did have to change this to a single minecart collection system instead of the dual one because they would jump the track before. So instead, we use this second minecart right here to collect items quickly from the first minecart that's actually doing the collection, which should be coming around back here any minute. Now, I did notice that this did not seem to empty completely because the minecart beneath it is getting backed up. So that kind of makes my idea not so great. So yeah, that's a problem, but we can problem solve. So what I'm thinking is we put another hopper minecart here, right? Another hopper minecart, another set of hoppers beneath it, feeding into maybe even another dropper. So that way we can get the items out of here twice as fast. All right, so we got the minecart coming back at this point, and we also have a dual minecart hopper drop-off situation, both feeding into the same dropper just to simplify things, and that does seem to empty perfectly and set off very soon after, so that will enable the collection to happen faster, and the dropper does appear to be sending things off at a pretty good rate. We'll see if everything has a chance to empty before the minecart comes back, though. That's going to be the real test. No. It's going to back up. Eventually, it will back up. At this point, we have what is maybe a little bit of an overkill situation. But sometimes that's just what's necessary. So we are able to get everything here basically completely empty before the minecart has a chance to return. And when the minecart does return, I have made it so that way it does not take as long to drop off, which means it can go out more quickly and come back sooner, and that gets emptied out real fast. I think we're good. But just to make sure, I'm going to make sure everything's empty before it has a chance to come back. Yeah, I think we're good. It's completely empty. It does completely empty the whole thing before the minecart does have a chance to come back, and you can see it's on its way back now. The timing is great. And the only real annoyance is going to be that consistent dropper sound, because I'm just going to leave that on forever and not mess with it anymore because we have this working. But you can see the stuff getting collected right there. It's getting converted into bone meal. The bone meal should be backing up in the system. And eventually, well, it's going to be stocked full of bone meal, and then we'll just be producing excess bone meal, which is great. Actually, forget what I just said. I lost sight of the goal. The goal is, once the bone meal converters get filled up, it stops producing bone meal and stores the excess moss, so we'll get a bunch of moss. Of course, we are also, at the same time, producing a bunch of bone meal, and eventually this will back up, and then the focus will shift to this over here, and this will eventually get backed up, and then the focus will shift to this dispenser over here. I've been calling these droppers. They're dispensers. I forget how to Minecraft. It's fine. You knew what I was talking about. There's no need to linger on it. This does not need to be in here because that is detrimental to our goals. We'll need to make sure that the hoppers here are emptied of anything that does not get converted to bone meal. I'll check on all of them in just a minute. And then as far as storage, we have wheat seeds. I don't want wheat seeds in here. I forgot all about those. Yeah, we don't want to store excess wheat seeds. So I haven't left this area yet. I'm still making some minor adjustments and improvements here. But I think because we did have a method to get our wheat seeds out before they went to storage, right? I took that out thinking we wouldn't need it. I'm going to go ahead and reinstall that. All right, so we got our wheat seed filter back in here again. That will convert our wheat seeds into bone meal, which will be stored in here. Now, one last thing before we go, as this will be running permanently now, there's a chance that the storage system could overflow. And if that happens, we want to get rid of, well, anything that might back up in here. So should that top row of hoppers get backed up, it's going to then push items into the dropper right here. And those items will automatically get shot out and disposed of via cactus. And with that, I think we're done here. So at this point, we can finally get back to that bamboo farm that I was talking about at the start of the episode. Now, I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and, I mean, it's not just a farm, right? None of my farms are just farms, really. They're also rooms. They're rooms that Mr. Wolfins can come and inspect. Now, I think we're going to have to leave some space around the back here for the redstone, like the piston pushers and all that stuff. But I think this will probably be a pretty good size for it. Now, bamboo harvesting, that's going to be easy. We also need to think about collection. Now, as far as collection goes, we're probably going to do that with hopper minecarts, but this right here, we're probably going to have to divert it, which should be easy enough now that the storage system is off. And then we can run our tracks, so no big deal. Now, as far as getting this done, there's no real point in me talking you all through it, because you've seen how that goes, right? I think what we're going to do instead is just go ahead and call the drone on out here, put on a little bit of music, and get it done, and then I'll explain to you what parts of it don't actually work. Sound good? All right, let's get to work. Welcome back, everybody. So, at this point, we got another new addition to the House of Leaves, our bamboo farm. As you can see, we do have some bamboo growing in here. I know this room isn't much to look at, but you know what? It serves its purpose, and we are producing some bamboo. We did have a little bit in reserve, but now we are actually producing it for the first time. Now, we do have a lot of storage for a lot of bamboo, but no disposal system, because once the storage system actually gets filled up, I do have a use for this elsewhere in Wolfinia. But that's not part of this farm, so we're not going to talk about that today. That's a special project for Mr. Wolfins. Ow. Now, as far as redstone goes, we have a bamboo timer for our bamboo farm. The observer basically sets off the whole farm. We have our collection system down there, which also collects this bamboo as well as the stuff harvested from the farm itself. And aside from that, you can see like the end of our collection system right here, which will continue on somewhere else eventually. And I guess there's not really much else to look at aside from the other end of the minecart rail system, which is, well, down here. And we're back over here again, not because anything is messed up. This stuff is all working fine. It's great, but there is some stuff that I missed. So I think maybe what we should do is patch up some of these holes before we call it here for the House of Leaves. And that, I think, should just about do it. So, good progress on the House of Leaves today. Let me just go ahead and drop off some of this junk that's found its way into my pockets while I was in there. All right. So, I should probably tell you guys that I have been busy just now getting some work done for Mr. Wolfins. And if you're seeing this clip, that means I'm not featuring it in this episode. But it will be in the next one. But before we wrap things up, I do want to see how our bone meal production progress is going. And it does indeed seem to be going well. We got some bone meal backing up in here to the dropper, it seems, so that's good. And then as far as this one goes, the dispenser's full and it is backing up into the hopper. Wonderful. And then one last check on our bamboo farm after this time. Oh yeah, we're producing. We're producing. I think that's where we're going to go ahead and call it for today. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you'll stick around for the next one. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. As always, I deeply appreciate it. And until next time, I will see you guys later.